what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now.
What you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine.
A big part of who he found himself to be was centered in a romance with Betty Mowitz, a young white woman who was an art student and cafeteria worker. Their love affair started in 1949.
In what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
In the turbulent era of the civil rights movement, one woman stood out as both a symbol of love and a poignant reminder of the racial barriers that plagued American society. Unveiling the lesser-known chapter of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, we delve into the compelling tale of the white woman he ardently desired to marry but was tragically unable to. This untold love story transcends the confines of time, echoing the struggle against racial prejudice that defined an entire generation. As Dr. King fervently championed equality and justice, he faced a deeply personal challenge when his heart became entwined with the affections of a white woman. In a society staunchly divided along racial lines, their love became a forbidden dream, a poignant reflection of the societal constraints that tested the resilience of even the most influential figures. This forbidden love story invites us to confront the complexities of human connection in the face of adversity, exploring the untold sacrifices made in the pursuit of a dream larger than any individual. Join us as we unravel the layers of this captivating narrative, shedding light on the woman who captured Dr. King's heart and the profound implications of their unfulfilled love amidst the tumultuous backdrop of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr., born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, emerged from a vibrant cultural and spiritual background that significantly shaped his commitment to social justice. Growing up in a religious household, King was deeply influenced by the Baptist faith of his father, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. The King family's home was a center for community gatherings, discussions, and activism. This early exposure to the intersection of faith and activism laid the foundation for King's lifelong commitment to civil rights. Atlanta, during King's formative years, was a city marked by racial segregation and discrimination. Despite these challenging circumstances, King's parents instilled in him a strong sense of self-worth and resilience. His mother, Alberta Williams King, worked tirelessly to instill the values of equality and justice in her children, creating an environment that encouraged critical thinking and empathy. King's academic journey began at Booker T. Washington High School, a segregated institution where he excelled both academically and socially. His intellectual prowess became evident early on, foreshadowing the influential figure he would later become. King's exposure to racial inequality was not only academic, but also personal. He experienced firsthand the harsh realities of segregation, witnessing the daily struggles faced by African Americans in the South. His early encounters with racism fueled a desire for change. King's intellectual curiosity and moral convictions led him to Morehouse College in Atlanta, where he began his undergraduate studies at the young age of 15. Morehouse, an all-male historically black college, played a crucial role in shaping King's intellectual and spiritual development. Here, he delved into diverse subjects, including philosophy and theology, setting the stage for the fusion of these disciplines in his later activism. Martin Luther King Jr.'s early life in Atlanta was characterized by a rich cultural and religious environment that laid the groundwork for his commitment to social justice. His academic achievements and early exposure to racial inequality not only defined his formative years, but also set the trajectory for his transformative role in the American civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr. began his academic journey by graduating from Morehouse College in 1948, where he excelled in his studies and developed a foundation for his future activism. Driven by a commitment to social justice, he pursued higher education, earning a Ph.D. in systematic theology from Boston University in 1955. His doctoral dissertation, titled A Comparison of the Conceptions of God in the Thinking of Paul Tillich and Henry Nelson Wyman, reflected his intellectual prowess. King's education not only shaped his theological perspective, but also provided him with the intellectual tools to articulate the principles of nonviolent resistance and equality that defined his leadership in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement, a transformative period in American history, sought to dismantle racial segregation and discrimination, fostering equality for African Americans. A key figure in this movement was Martin Luther King Jr., who emerged as a prominent leader during the Montgomery bus boycott, 1955-1956. The boycott was a pivotal event triggered by Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her bus seat, leading to a year-long protest against segregated public transportation. King's leadership and commitment to nonviolent resistance played a crucial role in the success of the boycott, ultimately leading to a Supreme Court ruling declaring segregated buses unconstitutional. In 1957, Martin Luther King Jr. co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, an organization dedicated to achieving civil rights through nonviolent means. The SCLC became a driving force behind many civil rights initiatives, organizing protests, marches, and campaigns across the United States. Under King's guidance, the SCLC became a unifying force, bringing together diverse communities in the pursuit of justice and equality. Central to King's philosophy was the advocacy of nonviolent civil disobedience, a strategy inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's successful campaigns in India. King believed that peaceful resistance could awaken the moral conscience of the nation, compelling it to address systemic racial injustices. This principle guided many of the movement's landmark events, including the Birmingham Campaign and the March on Washington. King's eloquence and powerful oratory skills were on full display during the March on Washington in 1963, where he delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. This speech not only articulated the aspirations of the civil rights movement, but also resonated globally, leaving an indelible mark on the struggle for human rights. The legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movement endures as their efforts paved the way for landmark legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which aimed to dismantle institutionalized racism and ensure equal rights for all citizens. King's commitment to justice, equality, and nonviolent resistance continues to inspire movements advocating for social change worldwide. Martin Luther King Jr. is renowned for his powerful oratory skills, using speeches as a primary tool to advocate for civil rights and social justice. Three of his most influential speeches, "I Have a Dream," 1963, "Letter from Birmingham Jail," 1963, and "Mountaintop," 1968, stand as testament to his unwavering commitment to equality, justice, and the advancement of the civil rights movement. Delivered on August 28, 1963, during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, "I Have a Dream" is perhaps Martin Luther King Jr.'s most iconic speech. Against the backdrop of the Lincoln Memorial, King passionately articulated his vision of a racially integrated and harmonious America. His dream was rooted in the belief that all individuals should be judged by their character rather than the color of their skin.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
King's eloquent words resonated with the crowd of over 250,000 people and countless others watching on television. He called for an end to racial segregation and discrimination, expressing the hope that one day his children would live in a nation where they would not be judged by their race, but by their character. The speech became a rallying cry for the civil rights movement, inspiring a generation to continue the fight for justice and equality. Written in response to 8 Alabama clergymen who criticized King's involvement in nonviolent protests, the letter from Birmingham jail stands as a powerful defense of the principles of civil disobedience. King penned the letter while incarcerated, addressing the clergy's concerns about the timing and methods of the civil rights demonstrations. In the letter, King eloquently defended the urgency of the civil rights cause, arguing that the time for justice is always now. He emphasized the moral duty to disobey unjust laws and explained the strategic use of nonviolent direct action to create tension and force the oppressor to confront the issue at hand. The letter showcased King's intellectual prowess and commitment to the principles of equality, leaving an indelible mark on the philosophy of civil disobedience. On April 3, 1968, the night before his assassination, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his final speech, known as the Mountaintop Address, at the Mason Temple in Memphis. In this prophetic speech, King reflected on the challenges faced by the civil rights movement and his own mortality. King spoke passionately about the progress made in the struggle for equality, acknowledging the difficulties but expressing confidence in the ultimate triumph of justice. He declared that he had been to the mountaintop, foreseeing the promised land of racial harmony and justice. Tragically, King's words took on a haunting significance, as he was assassinated the following day.
We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop.
The mountaintop speech is a poignant reminder of King's dedication to the cause and the sacrifices made in the pursuit of equality. His legacy endures not only in the strides made during the civil rights movement, but also in the continued fight for justice and human rights worldwide. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches were powerful instruments that stirred the hearts of millions and fueled the flames of the civil rights movement. I Have a Dream, Letter from Birmingham Jail, and Mountaintop remain timeless reminders of King's unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and the transformative power of words. In the turbulent era of the civil rights movement, one woman stood out as both a symbol of love and a poignant reminder of the racial barriers that plagued American society. Unveiling the lesser-known chapter of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, we delve into the compelling tale of the white woman he ardently desired to marry, but was tragically unable to. This untold love story transcends the confines of time, echoing the struggle against racial prejudice that defined an entire generation. As Dr. King fervently championed equality and justice, he faced a deeply personal challenge when his heart became entwined with the affections of a white woman. In a society staunchly divided along racial lines, their love became a forbidden dream, a poignant reflection of the societal constraints that tested the resilience of even the most influential figures. This forbidden love story invites us to confront the complexities of human connection in the face of adversity, exploring the untold sacrifices made in the pursuit of a dream larger than any individual. Martin Luther King Jr.'s personal life was deeply intertwined with his commitment to the civil rights movement. In 1953, he married Coretta Scott King, a union that would play a profound role in both their personal and public lives. The couple went on to have 4 children: Yolanda, Martin Luther King III, Dexter, and Bernice. Their family life added a human dimension to King's leadership, emphasizing the personal stakes involved in the fight for civil rights. Coretta Scott King, an accomplished singer and activist in her own right, played a vital role in the civil rights movement alongside her husband. She actively supported him in his endeavors, from the Montgomery bus boycott to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, initiatives. Coretta's dedication extended beyond her role as a supportive spouse. She was an advocate for peace, racial justice, and women's rights. In 1955, after the Montgomery bus boycott, Coretta and Martin faced the challenges of threats and intimidation as a couple committed to dismantling racial segregation. Coretta was by King's side during the most tumultuous moments of the movement, providing strength and solidarity. She also took a leading role in organizing events, participating in protests, and advocating for the rights of African Americans. Tragically, the personal toll of King's leadership became evident with the bombing of their home in 1956. Despite these threats, Coretta remained resolute, standing alongside her husband in the face of adversity. Her strength and commitment to the cause mirrored Martin's, making them a powerful partnership in the fight for civil rights. Luther King Jr.'s tireless pursuit of civil rights was met with a series of tragic events, as he endured numerous threats and acts of violence against both himself and his family. One harrowing incident occurred in 1956 during the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. In an attempt to intimidate King and halt the progress of the boycott, his house was bombed. Fortunately, neither King nor his family members were harmed physically, but the attack underscored the depth of hostility faced by those advocating for racial equality. King's commitment to justice led to his frequent arrests during various civil rights activities. He became a symbol of nonviolent resistance, enduring the hardships of imprisonment to draw attention to the unjust treatment of African Americans. These arrests were not merely legal inconveniences. They were stark illustrations of the deep-seated opposition to the civil rights movement. King faced not only the physical threats of violence, but also the legal repercussions of challenging the status quo. The arrests did not deter King from his mission. Instead, they further galvanized his commitment to the principles of nonviolent protest. He viewed these acts of resistance as a necessary sacrifice for the greater cause of achieving racial equality and justice. King's ability to endure these tragic events with steadfast determination showcased his resilience in the face of adversity, inspiring countless others to join the fight for civil rights. These tragic events, including the bombing of his home and multiple arrests, serve as poignant reminders of the personal sacrifices made by King in his pursuit of a more just and equal society. His unwavering courage in the face of such challenges solidified his legacy as a transformative figure in the fight against racial injustice in America. On April 4, 1968, the world lost one of its most influential civil rights leaders when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. The tragic event occurred at the Lorraine Motel, where King had been staying while supporting the sanitation workers' strike. This shocking incident marked a dark chapter in American history and left an indelible mark on the civil rights movement.
Dr. King left his room, 306, at the Lorraine Hotel just before dinner to get some air. Police say 205 feet away, in a window in a flophouse, the assassin waited. He fired a single shot, hitting his target squarely.
Just at 8 this morning, Dr. Martin Luther King's body was brought to Lyon State for an hour.
James Earl Ray, a fugitive at the time, was later convicted of King's murder. Ray, a small-time criminal, had escaped from a Missouri penitentiary and, following the assassination, embarked on an international manhunt that lasted for months. He was finally captured in London and extradited to the United States. In 1969, Ray pleaded guilty to the assassination in order to avoid the death penalty, but he later recanted his confession, claiming he was coerced. The assassination itself occurred as King stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. A single gunshot rang out, fatally striking him in the neck. The circumstances surrounding King's death fueled conspiracy theories, with some speculating that there were other individuals or entities involved. Despite the doubts and controversies, Ray's guilty plea remained intact, and he was sentenced to 99 years in prison. Ray spent the remainder of his life attempting to retract his confession, but he died in prison in 1998. Martin Luther King Jr.'s death had a profound and immediate impact on the civil rights movement. His assassination sent shockwaves throughout the nation, sparking riots and protests in major cities. The grief and anger felt by many were palpable, reflecting the deep emotional connection people had with King and his tireless efforts for racial equality. In the aftermath of King's assassination, the civil rights movement faced a critical juncture. With their charismatic and inspirational leader gone, there were concerns about the movement's direction and effectiveness. However, King's legacy endured, and his principles continued to inspire activists. The tragedy served as a rallying cry for those committed to the ideals of justice and equality. In recognition of King's contributions, a federal holiday was established in his honor. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is observed annually on the third Monday of January, commemorating his life and legacy. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. remains a somber reminder of the struggles for civil rights and the sacrifices made in the pursuit of a more just and equitable society. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is eternally enshrined in the annals of history, marked by profound recognition and enduring tributes. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a testament to his unwavering commitment to nonviolent activism in the struggle for civil rights. This prestigious accolade not only recognized King's individual efforts, but also underscored the collective impact of the civil rights movement on fostering peace and equality. One of the most poignant tributes to Martin Luther King Jr.'s contributions came in 1986, when the United States established Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a federal holiday. This designation serves as an annual commemoration of King's life, work, and the indelible mark he left on the nation. The holiday, observed on the third Monday of January, not only celebrates King's birthday, but also serves as a call to action for citizens to engage in acts of service and reflection, embodying the spirit of his teachings. Beyond awards and holidays, King's work laid a robust foundation for significant civil rights advancements that continue to shape American society. His leadership in landmark events, such as the Montgomery bus boycott and the March on Washington, demonstrated the transformative power of nonviolent resistance. King's advocacy played a pivotal role in the passage of key legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, dismantling legal barriers to racial equality. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy extends far beyond the temporal confines of his life. His principles of justice, equality, and nonviolence remain a guiding light for those advocating for civil rights globally. Through the recognition of his achievements with the Nobel Peace Prize, the establishment of a federal holiday, and the enduring impact of his work on civil rights legislation, King's legacy endures as a beacon of hope, inspiring generations to strive for a more just and equitable world. Luther King Jr., celebrated for his pivotal role in the American civil rights movement and tireless advocacy for equality, faced criticisms and controversies that added complexity to his legacy. Despite his monumental contributions, King was not immune to scrutiny, with allegations of plagiarism in his academic work being one of the primary sources of contention. King's academic integrity came under question when it was revealed that portions of his doctoral dissertation at Boston University contained similarities to the work of other scholars. The controversy surrounding his dissertation raised concerns about the originality of his ideas and the rigor of his academic pursuits. While some scholars argue that the allegations are overblown and that King's overall contributions should not be overshadowed by this controversy, it remains a point of discussion among academics and historians. Another aspect of King's life that stirred controversy pertained to his personal relationships, including extramarital affairs. Despite being married to Coretta Scott King, King's involvement in extramarital affairs became public knowledge, causing a significant rift in his public image. The revelation of these affairs challenged the perception of King as a moral and ethical leader. Critics argued that his behavior contradicted the principles he espoused in his public speeches, particularly those advocating for justice, morality, and righteousness. The controversies surrounding King's personal life led to a nuanced debate about whether one's private conduct should be weighed against their public achievements. Some argue that King's personal flaws should not diminish the importance of his contributions to the civil rights movement, emphasizing the need to separate the individual from the broader social impact. Others contend that the personal choices of a public figure, especially one advocating for moral and ethical values, should be subject to scrutiny. Despite these controversies, it is essential to acknowledge the broader context in which King operated. He faced immense challenges, including systemic racism, death threats, and the constant pressure of leading a movement striving for racial equality. While his personal imperfections are undeniable, they do not negate the profound impact of his leadership and the transformative changes he inspired. In assessing Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, it is crucial to navigate the complexities, acknowledging both his remarkable contributions to civil rights and the controversies that have sparked ongoing discussions about the intersection of personal conduct and public influence. The examination of King's life, criticisms, and controversies offers a more comprehensive understanding of the multifaceted nature of this influential figure in American history. Martin Luther King Jr.'s impact on the world transcends the boundaries of time and geography, making him an enduring symbol of the struggle for civil rights and equality. Through his steadfast commitment to nonviolent resistance and his compelling oratory skills, King emerged as a transformative figure during the American civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s. King's influence reached far beyond the United States, resonating with people around the globe who sought justice and equality. His philosophy of nonviolent civil disobedience became a guiding light for various social justice movements worldwide. In South Africa, the anti-apartheid movement drew inspiration from King's methods, adapting nonviolent resistance to challenge institutionalized racism. Similarly, in India, figures like Mahatma Gandhi had laid the groundwork for nonviolent protest, and King's teachings further inspired those advocating for civil rights and equality. King's iconic "I Have a Dream" speech, delivered during the March on Washington in 1963, remains a powerful and universal call for freedom and equality. The speech echoed in the hearts of individuals struggling against oppression across continents, serving as a catalyst for movements demanding human rights and dignity. Even after his tragic assassination in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy endured, continuing to inspire subsequent generations. His contributions led to significant legislative victories in the United States, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Globally, King's legacy influenced the discourse on human rights and became a touchstone for those challenging oppressive systems. Today, Martin Luther King Jr. stands as an emblem of courage, justice, and the ongoing quest for equality. His legacy serves as a reminder that the fight for civil rights is not confined to a specific time or place, but is a universal struggle against injustice. As social justice movements persist around the world, King's teachings remain a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring power of peaceful resistance in the pursuit of a more just and equitable society. In the tapestry of history, Martin Luther King Jr.'s life stands as a testament to the unwavering pursuit of justice and equality. Despite facing the crucible of personal tragedies and the ominous shadows of hatred, King's resolute commitment to nonviolent resistance propelled him to the forefront of the civil rights movement. His impassioned speeches, echoing the dream of a harmonious world, reverberate through time, reminding us that change is not only possible, but imperative. The tragic threads of King's narrative, woven with threats, violence, and an untimely demise, underscore the immense sacrifices borne by those daring to challenge the status quo. His assassination on April 4, 1968, in Memphis was a somber punctuation to a life dedicated to dismantling the shackles of racial injustice. Yet, from the fragments of tragedy emerges a legacy that transcends mortality. King's indomitable spirit, encapsulated in iconic speeches like "I Have a Dream" and "Mountaintop," ignited a flame that continues to illuminate the path toward justice. The echoes of his activism linger in the corridors of societal transformation, a reminder that the struggle for equality is an eternal pursuit. Martin Luther King Jr. did not merely change the world. He forged a timeless legacy that challenges each generation to confront injustice with courage, compassion, and an unyielding belief in the transformative power of love.